Welcome back to Jeremiah Wonders. Thank you so much for joining me back here today. We have a very special guest on the show today, my pal Big Jay Oakerson. We'll be with him very momentarily. In the meantime, go over to jeremiahwatkins.com. Pick yourself up a saxophone hat or maybe a Watkins sax shirt. There's a bunch of stuff, Milkman, Darwin, Bison shirts, all kinds of stuff. Go check it out, jeremiahwatkins.com. Got some great merch up over there. It's a good way to support the show in the meantime. Or they call me the Venmo King at Jeremiah-Watkins on Venmo. That's an easy way to support the show. If not, I appreciate you just being here. Leave a comment below. Smash that like button. That's super easy way to support the show as well. I want to do, before we get into Big J, there's a segment that listeners really like that I cover songs that you guys send in and I play them in front of a green screen. And this segment is called Unprotected Sax. This first suggestion comes from @cold_brew45 on Twitter. They'd like me to play the Jurassic Park theme. I would love to play the Jurassic Park theme in front of some dinosaurs. Let's freaking do it. This next suggestion comes from @Agricultrix on Twitter. Epic Sax Guy. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but there's a video that went viral years ago of this guy basically hip thrusting and playing the same kind of sax notes over and over. I love that video. Let's recreate that. Very excited to have Big Jay Oakerson here on the program today. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, dude. It's been a little bit.
Too long.
I
think already two LA trips and Skank Fest. I would have seen you guys since this whole thing started.
I know. I was looking forward to Skank Fest South before all this crap went down, as were a lot of people. But you know, the way Texas is opening up, it shouldn't be a problem for the next round that's about to happen.
Yeah, hopefully not. LA just said 3 more months, right?
Yeah.
I heard that.
Dude, I'm going to end up doing comedy on the road before I can do comedy in LA. Like,
absolutely.
Which, I mean,
yeah,
I'm grateful for that'll happen, but it's also kind of a bummer at the same time because I'm going to be pretty rusty the first couple trips out. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, bear with me a little bit.
Are you going to travel? Are you going to travel by plane? Will you travel by plane to shit?
I think so. I think I'm at a point where I think around June, I'll probably give it the rest of this month. But I'm probably mid-June, I'll probably be comfortable with flying again, but we'll see. I don't know. It all depends on how. I don't know how are you feeling about flying and stuff like that right now?
Pretty terrified. I just got a thing that they are having a show in a weekend in Indianapolis at Helium. I'm trying to weigh that out because I'm like, it's an 11-hour drive. Maybe that's the move. You know what I mean? Just drive out there. It's a lot of hours.
That is
a lot of hours, but
yeah. That's a lot.
But it might be the right move, though, you know?
But, I mean, maybe it'll be a good thing rather than feeling cooped up in the city. Be like, I'm on this weird long drive, you know?
Yeah, might as well break shit up a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't know about you or not. Like, I've got certain staples throughout the week that are like my meters for each day, but a lot of the days I forget which day it is.
Oh, yeah. No, me too, dude, for sure. I have no idea. Yeah, everything runs into each other now.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
And New York is so on top of each other, man. It's just such a weird setup, and
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know how
Have
it's
you
going
been
to open up again.
have you been doing grocery deliveries? Have you been going out and getting your own stuff, or how's that been working in New York? Because it's so much tighter, obviously, than LA and a lot of other cities.
Yeah, Christine, like we'll go to Trader Joe's
Mhm.
once every week or so, and do that, and then we'll just do a little spot shopping at like one of these corner places. But yeah, I'm trying to stay away from shit as much as possible. We left the city for 2 weeks and got like a mountain house, which was kind of nice, just to be
Nice.
kind of in the middle of nowhere, and you can like step outside and not be afraid of everything.
Yeah, actually,
But here,
breathe in like fully.
yeah, well, not even just that, just like, go outside and then come inside and not have to like burn your hands off with soap and water,
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's so like it's always like your hands were raped. You're still dirty, still
Yeah,
so dirty.
You're just like, oh, this is so rough.
Also, the bums of New York have gotten hostile and aggressive now.
Oh, really?
They're not afraid anymore.
They were already pretty, straight to the jugular before. Like anytime I visited New York, I'm like, oh man, these guys are direct.
Yeah, now they know you. Now they know you would never touch them in a million years, so they just get aggressive as shit.
Come on, man, just give me the dollar. Come on.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, really. Give me what I want.
You're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I had a guy. We had a guy walk by the other like a week ago or so, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's definitely like looking for trouble. He's coming down the street being like a lunatic." And even when we got up, like he just as he walks by our building, he just like this like kick launches one of our fucking trash cans all over the street.
He just
and you're just
Leonidas kicks. Just.
I mean, yeah, straight Spartan kick, and to our garbage, and all you can do is, hey man, you like, yeah.
Don't you be coming around this neighborhood again.
Yeah, this is not the time where you would decide to mix up spit and blood with a guy to prove a point.
Yeah, somebody's been there's been a couple of people who have parked in my parking spot in LA, which that's a big deal because you don't,
Sure.
the parking sucks out here, but I still have been handling it like as courteous as possible because all this stuff is going on. I'm like, hi, that's actually my spot. I pay for that. So if you could move your car, like also while like not trying to get too close to people and stuff, it's really hard to like reprimand people when you're staying such at a distance,
Yeah, it also makes me realize how much myself and other people like spit when they talk too.
Oh God! Just you're just dodging everything.
Yeah, the word sorry just sends a shower of coronavirus particles.
I didn't realize I was parking in your spot. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, what a bad season for lateral lisps.
Yeah. Springtime is upon us.
Look at all the flower throwing out here.
I think the pollen is in the atmosphere right now because I'm sensing something in my nasal canal.
Yeah, get back to Africa, you murder hornet.
Dude, those are pretty terrifying. I've
murder
seen,
hornets?
Yeah, I saw one kill a freaking mouse or something like that, or like a rat.
Yeah, I'd say bring on 2 million murder hornets and get rid of coronavirus before, if I could switch them out.
You're like, I will play a game of Jumanji over this coronavirus thing.
Yeah, I'd rather walk around in a beekeeper's outfit outside and still be able to do everything else when you're inside.
Oh, dude, beekeeper suits in comedy clubs? Not too bad.
Yeah, you got to unzip the thing. Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys, what's going on? Anybody
one gets
been
in your
stung
suit
lately?
Yeah, and then one gets in your suit. You're like, one's in me. One's in here. Son of a bitch, it's in here.
All right. How do we get rid of this thing?
When I did Bert Kreischer's new show on Netflix, one of the things we did was beekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
And we put on these, the beekeeper outfits, which are pretty like full coverage. And I mean, for a split second, Bert jokingly lifted his like the waistline of his beekeeper suit for like, I mean, a split second and got nailed.
Oh, I
like
bet.
immediately.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's
They're looking for those ends.
I don't understand who runs towards that job, beekeeping. It was just the sound alone as we got near them it was like a deafening like hum. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming no matter what, and they're surrounding you, and you're like, "This, can we please go?" It's funny to see, like grown, large men, as all of us were, being like, "Could we go sit back down? Can I move my arm? Is it okay to move my arm?"
Yeah, yeah. You're asking the professionals, like, is everything okay here?
Yeah, and by the way, beekeepers they're like the, same people that deal with like reptiles and stuff. Like, yeah, what's the big? Just grab an alligator by the snout and toss it back in the water. Like, they just don't give a shit at all.
Dude, my dad used to. We'd have like bees on like picnic tables or whatever. Like when we would go to parks as a kid, and he would kill bees with the palm of his hand. He would just like use it as a fly swatter, and he'd just go, yeah, and like he'd kill them all the time. And I'd just look at my dad like in fear, like, I can't believe this man is doing this. This is wild.
That's Kansas City tough. He's probably punched an ox before and all kinds of crazy rural shit.
No joke. He has stomped out a snake before. There was a snake that was gonna come towards me and like my mom, my brother, and sister, and my dad had cowboy boots on, and he goes up to this snake. He squares off with this snake and stomps it to death.
Dude, that's a masculinity I'll never understand.
Dude, I'll never get there. I just looked at my dad. I'm like, are we even from the same family tree? This is crazy.
Does your dad have a lot of, like my dad does to a degree, and I'm sure beyond that it gets worse and worse, but like, does your dad have a lot of masculine qualities that you don't have? Like my dad's got, like, I wouldn't know if somebody was like changed spark plugs on a car.
He's got a
chest hair.
Chest hair. Yeah,
but I mean more like I couldn't change brakes on a car. I couldn't change my own oil or anything. I wouldn't even know where to begin on any of those things. If something like it's something like a cabinet broke in my house, it's not that I couldn't screw things back on, but it would never be good.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like it would never be a good job.
I'm like an IKEA version of a man, but I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like I can be assembled, like maybe, but it's probably going to be like a makeshift kind of job. But my dad, like, he would try to teach me as a kid to pay attention. Like I would hold the light for him as he'd work on cars. So he would swap out cars and sell them when I was a kid, and I was just ADD, and I was just like spacing off in imagination land and stuff like that. And I wish I had the knowledge if I would have paid attention on cars, because I know nothing about cars. But yeah, my dad, total man. He was working once on his workbench, and his serrated saw took off, and it cut off his thumb. So he has like just like half of a thumb for one of his hands, and that's just like, obviously, if you meet anybody like that, that's a very specific person that you're meeting.
We have masculinity in different ways. How many times have you had to perform in front of an all-black crowd in like Watts or something in comedy? I remember, I don't know if my dad would go perform at some of the shows I've performed at. Those seem like dangerous situations.
Yeah.
That's where all my masculinity lies there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, that was like a big part of your development, like in comedy, right? Is like you kind of started off as like the white guy in the urban rooms. Yeah.
Me, it's so weird that the people like Joe DeRosa, Mike Vecchione are all guys who started in that circuit also. But but at the same exact time was me and Kurt Metzger started. And it is so funny. Like I went the complete pandering route. Like I dressed the dress and talked the talk, and Kurt was just Kurt. And like, so it was funny how like I would get over sometimes a little bit easier simply off of my demeanor and look, you know what I mean? And Kurt would have these brilliant jokes and then just be up there, and they're like, what the fuck did you just say, white boy? And he was like, okay. Is that light for me? We found old videotapes. I got to get these things converted somehow to like DVD or something, or to digital. but we have these old videotapes, and it's funny. You can see me. I got the big silver chain on. I think it's a cross, and I'm Jewish, which is hilarious. But it's maybe even like a sleeveless shirt, like baggy shit. And it's my jokes are all going like, when you're talking to bitches up in a club, right? You buy that bitch a drink, and then you're gonna be dancing all night with that drink. At least that girl can walk wherever she want to walk. I'm dancing with my drink, and then it would do well.
Well, yeah,
it would do well. And then Metzger
meanwhile, Kurt's
would go
in
up
the
there
back,
and just
yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Kurt's come up there with, like, just from the get-go, he just had loaded jokes, dude. He was great. He has such a good joke writer from the get-go. And he'd have these great jokes, and the crowd would just stare or, like, mildly giggle or just be completely shitty to him. And then one of the videos we have is that every punchline, he asks essentially he's asking if any in the room is for him to get off stage. So he would be like, the punchline. And the crowd would be like, and he'd go, is that light for me? Is that up there? Is that no? No, keep going. Okay. And then he'd just go back into his next joke. And then after the next punchline, same thing. Is that light for me?
That's great. Would he ever get frustrated that you would be killing with that stuff and he's trying to do specific kind of jokes that are not related to the room at all? Like, would he get frustrated?
It didn't seem almost the opposite, actually. It would be me getting frustrated knowing that I was, like, selling myself out.
Yeah.
Like, I was almost more aware. I was more impressed that, like, because the thing is, when it was time to make, like, the transition and we started coming up to New York and getting into, not that there's no such thing as, like, a white club. I mean, I guess, like, maybe depending on parts of the country you go to, perhaps, but there's no such thing as, like, a white comedy club in New York or Philly, particularly. There was black clubs that were solely pretty much black audiences, but the mainstream clubs were everybody. And Kurt was so much more prepared when we went into those rooms with, like, good jokes. Because then the problem is when you get to, like, a New York comedy club and we're going on, and when we first start out up here, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going on stage for the dwindled down, like, 2 to 10 people that are there. And they're from all over the country. And I'm like, yo, you hear that new P. Diddy song about, what'd you call? Man, bitches ain't shit when you come and talk about that new P. Diddy song. And they're like, what is, what is he talking about?
What is this P. Diddy character that you keep talking about? I thought his name was Sean Combs originally.
Yeah, and then Kurt was just, like, doing great with these things. So it's like I knew how to, like, I had the mark on how to do well very specifically in that room with pandering. And you're, like, leaning in. Not anywhere else.
Where you're expecting certain, like, people to chime in and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, tell them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're waiting for that.
Yeah, like, where the bitches with the real hair? Put your hands up. And it's just like, 10 people from Minnesota, like, who doesn't have real hair?
Yeah, that's very strange that you wouldn't have real hair on your head.
Yeah. Give a round of applause for all the ladies got their own money, making their own money, don't need no man.
Well, I've been married for 32 years. Do you have an issue with that? That's the way God intended.
Yeah. Oh, we're from Wisconsin. We don't really know what you're talking about.
I just got turned on to this new artist called Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I heard she died. I heard she died tragically.
I heard it was a Southwest flight. Is that true?
Yeah.
Those rap guys are killing each other in the streets. Why are you dressed like that? I mean, young man, why are you wearing a FUBU jersey?
Is it true it stands for us, by us? I definitely had I had at least one FUBU jersey or something at one point. It was like a powder blue. You know what I mean? It was like the classic.
Oh yeah, that was a very popular one with the white lettering and the white powder blue.
Yeah.
And
I went through my
FUBU was written in dark.
Wallet chain phase for sure.
Yeah, FUBU was and then FUBU was written in, like, dark blue. It was like navy blue, the word FUBU, and then everything else was
blue. There's the white. Blue. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I never had a FUBU football jersey. I did have a FUBU baseball jersey, which is probably 10 times worse.
Ooh, a real Michael Jordan move there.
Yeah, I did a swap up.
Yeah.
That was my last dance. But yeah, I definitely had like South Pole, Rockaware. I had plenty of Rockaware.
I had Rockaware jean shorts for years, bro. I had 1 or 2 pairs that I loved that I wore all the time.
Yeah, it's funny if necessarily the style's not going out, but like the name brand's going out, but they're your favorite things, like those flash in the pan, kind of like brand names that come and go. It's like you were wearing even wonderfully fitting Rockaware jeans right now, everybody be like, well, where the fuck did you get a time machine today? Where the fuck do you find those?
I mean, I used to sport Tommy Hilfiger all the time.
Tommy Hilfiger was never made for me. Do you remember when they said when all black people were in Tommy Hilfiger, and then Tommy Hilfiger was like, "This isn't for black people. Like,
yeah,
supposed to be for nautical people."
Yeah, like you got this all wrong, guys.
I love that's the best when black culture like appropriates a white thing, and then it's just like hilariously. Like if you wear remember what for a while like the sponsored NASCAR jackets became like a big thing in the black community.
Oh yeah,
like the jacket that had like Shell and Jack Links and all that kind of shit all over it, and you're like, what is it? And you're like, oh, who are you? Are you a Kevin Harbinger fan? And like, who?
Huh?
Like, he's the driver for the jacket you're
the poor
wearing.
white guy's trying to bond with. He's like, finally, we got some black people coming over to the NASCAR side of things.
Yeah. Oh, hey, black fella, I didn't realize you were a Kurt Busch fan. Huh?
Well, I wanted to do this segment real quick. It's called Fanning Out.
Fanning out questions from fans.
And that's where I reach out to people on the internets, and they reach right back and had some questions and some possible character suggestions for you to do real quick. This one, I mean, you probably get questions a lot about the fingerless gloves. I know that just from knowing you that Dice is a big inspiration, and it's a little bit of a head nod to him and stuff like that. Somebody wanted to know about your cleaning process when you're wearing the gloves. Oh, Santa Cruz said, she said, do you remove your gloves when you pee? If you don't, do you remove them to wash your hands or just wash the tips of your fingers? Like if you're going to take a pee when you're out.
It's a fantastic question. One, truth be told, don't do a lot of public peeing. Most of my pees are at home. Now, if I have to pee out and about, generally what I'll do is just pull the front of the pants down and just get the pecker kind of hanging out. Take a pee like that, so there's really no contact. Contactless pissing.
Wow.
Also a funny thing. It's always, I never say it in conversation with him because Dice for sure was huge inspiration. And just aside from inspiration, just when I was a kid, like the comic when it's like same thing when I found Guns N' Roses as a kid, it was like, oh, this is like mine. This is my thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't music that my parents liked or whatever. It was like I discovered it in my world and like I loved it. You know what I mean? Like my parents were supposed to hate it. And Dice was like the comic where I was like, ooh, I'm probably not supposed to be listening to this, but I absolutely love it. Ironically enough, when I was on tour with the bands in 2010 with Korn, the band Korn and a band called 2 Cents I was out with, they it was just a day in Las Vegas. I remember we were performing at the Palms, and I was away from comedy for like long enough, like on this tour for like 3 months, and away from comedians who are sort of like the thing that evens you out on decision making.
They're constantly
in your life.
Any personal changes in your life, like appearance wise or anything. They're always like, hey, what's that? What's that?
On those tours, I got my nose pierced and knew I was coming home to a world of shit for that. But I was like, I want it, so I'm going to get it. Tattoos are a big decision with stuff like that. But the band said to me, they were like, hey, man, you're on a rock tour. You should have more like, essentially, they were saying like flair on stage. Like, why not go up there and be, I get that like comedy, especially in the way I do it, is more of just like a, jeans and shirt
right
kind of thing. But they were like, why don't you do more of a thing? And gave me a fingerless glove, one, to put on for the show. And I was like, yeah, fuck. I put it on. I was like, that looks kind of cool. And I was like, I'll go out there and do it. There's no one there.
You're like, I'm literally doubling down. Let's do this. Let's find the other one.
I put the one on and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I was like, but and there's no comics there to be like, the fuck you doing, dude? So I wore it and I went on stage, and it wasn't that it was acknowledged at all. It was unacknowledged. And it went pretty well. The show went pretty well considering what those shows were going in front of those bands. But it was pretty good, and no one acknowledged it. And I was like, oh, I guess I pulled it off in some way. And then I just started wearing it from that. And then it is funny, like through the years and then getting to know Dice over the last few years, he's like, yeah, we do the fingerless gloves thing. It's an homage thing. And you're like, yeah, all right.
Sure.
I mean, I guess technically it's like in the same line of thinking, but the initial thing to put them on was like, in fact, that's a good thing because I would feel lamer in a way if the initial thing was like, I'm going to wear fingerless gloves like Dice. That seems almost like a weirder thing. You know what I mean?
Right. It was almost more organic the way that it happened, like at the rock concert.
Right.
Where there's like,
and then he's like, hey, we both do the gloves. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just funny to think of somebody like at a rock concert that's like, you need more pizzazz on stage. Here's a fingerless glove. Do with it what you will. I'm not going to judge.
It's funny if Dice's reaction to it was more like, "What the fuck you doing, biting my shit?" I would more openly tell him that story. But he has such like a genuine like, "Hey, the kid, he's inspired. It's a tribute." And I'm always like, "Yeah, man, sure,
yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm doing it for."
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted you to do your Lewis impression because they love hearing you talk as Lewis. I like this one. This is from Ash Vess on Instagram. She wants to hear you do your impression of Lewis's brain talking when I was slapboxing him. So what was going through Lewis's head when he and I were sparring? Because you judged that match and right outside the streets of the Stand in New York City, which was very fun.
Lewis's brain is always going, one, he hates to lose, and two, he's always thinking Louis J. Gomez. So my impression of Louis J. Gomez's head is always going, Louis J. Gomez, Louis J. Gomez, Louis J. Gomez, block, block, Louis J. Gomez, swing for the fences. Swing for the fences, doggy. He was when you caught him with the one and all those people aren't there, it was he has to, but it's a good thing for Lewis because Lewis like realizes as he gets older and older that he has to like have some semblance of humanity in him, which is what I love. And because for sure, like in his head while that was happening and he took that slap, he gets a little embarrassed. He gets worked up and he's built this image amongst his fans. So when you cracked him across the face, I mean, really the thing is what was going through his oh, woe is me had to be when Rogan was like, Jeremiah's tuning him up. Oh.
Dude, Lewis wants to go. He wants to do another slapbox match with me so bad, and it's actually affected our friendship because I don't want to do it again. And he's like, "No,
of course not.
Let's do it." And I'm like, "Dude, it's way funnier if I go undefeated and we never do it again." It just like if he has to live with that the rest of his life. To me, that's way funnier than doing another match.
The funniest thing, too, is the casual denial of it, too, where it's like, well, then you never defended your title, so then you don't even know if you're really, like, the toughest of the two of us. And you go, I'm okay to live with that, man. It's fine. Like, just the casual blow off of it. He goes, one more time for, like, 2 minutes. You're like, I just don't want to. It's just, I don't know. I don't like this.
That's kind of exactly how I feel. Oh, Ronnie Chang, our pal, asked, how did you get the nickname Big J? Which you may have been asked 1,000 times, but.
No, it's funny. It was my friend, when I moved from Philly to South Jersey my senior year of high school, the first kid I made friends with name was also Jay. And then he started dating a girl who lived in our neighborhood, and she would just hang out with both of us. Like she was just kind of part of the group of friends. And it was her breaking off, like that was her like line of delineation of whose house she was at. She would say Big J and Little J. The saddest part about being Big J and Little J is that Little J is like 6 foot tall and like 190 some pounds. Little Jay. The best part is Little Jay was never little. He was just smaller than Big Jay.
Yeah. He's just slightly smaller. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get into this last segment. There's so many questions, but I know you're about to go record the bonfire. So let's get into this.
I'll be happy to do this with you again sometime, man, for sure. I love talking to you, man. I miss you.
Oh, dude, miss you, man. I miss our hangs, and I've had some of my favorite late night hangs and eats and everything. When so many good gigs and stuff. But yeah, we'll definitely do this again soon. This is our last segment. It's called Sax Talk.
When I was a late teenager, I come from a white trash enough house that my mom and stepfather had allowed my girlfriend to move in with us, and slept in the same room and everything. And we were young kids. Just a couple of young kids learning about life and their sexuality together. And then together we explored all the facets of sexuality, including threesomes with another girl and just romance versus dirty car sex and everything in between. And then one magical night, she was like, we should try anal sex. I've been seeing it in pornography, and I'd like to give it a try. And we did this with a moderate amount of spit and patience. I was able to squeeze in there. Through the next 5 minutes or so, I worked my way in, and slowly but surely it got comfortable for her, and I was able to achieve orgasm. I retracted my penis from her unholiest of holes, and then told her, in the most perverse way possible, try to squeeze the cum out of your butt. She then proceeded to do that, and then appearing on the bed was a puddle with one little baby turd inside of it. She ran out of the room in haste downstairs to cry in embarrassment, at which point I chased her and calmed her down. My mother, who was in the room adjacent, I heard come out of the room and walk into my room and apparently saw the aftermath and screamed down the stairwell, "You're cleaning that shit up." She ended up fucking one of my good friends, and we broke up eventually.
That was incredible. That was so much fun hearing about poop and jizz from Big Jay Oakerson.
Poop and Jizz.
Poop and Jizz, a new podcast brought to you by Big J and Little Jeremiah. Bro, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you got to get to the bonfire. Some love to Mr. Dan Soder and the crew. And dude, let's talk again soon, pal. Thanks so much.
I will do, man. I love you, buddy. We'll talk to you real soon.
Love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Big Jay Oakerson. Subscribe if you're not already doing so. Like or comment below. And also send me some emails to jeremiahwonders@gmail.com if you'd like to potentially sponsor the show, or if you'd like to just send some artwork. I'd love to feature it on the show or on my Instagram. And send me some kindness challenge letters. We haven't done that segment in a little bit, and I have been missing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. And stay positive in these weird times, and I'll be here every week to help you out.